nervous?
No.
Where's your answer?
Dennis Beckham, let the ball on! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Oh! Oh, no! Oh, yes! He missed it!
Welcome to the Suffering from Joy podcast. My name's Devin. A little bit of a rough week for Austin FC, but, we got 2 weeks to stew over it and hate ourselves and think about things and completely not blow anything out of proportion. So we'll see how that goes. Here to discuss today, Charles Peacock of the False Nine, Texas. Charles, how you feeling?
It's been a really good weekend, except for a very specific 2 hours last night.
Yeah, it's a weird footballing weekend all around. Brad Tillery, Brad, how you doing?
I had a lovely week. Soccer or whatever, but I mean, I got to watch my little cousin graduate. I ate delicious seafood in Florida. Spent some time with the family. I played golf. I didn't work for most of the week. Like it was great, man.
Nice. I mean, it sounds like we're all doing good at mitigating the Austin FC-ness of the week. Seth, how you doing?
Hey, there are plenty of things going on. Somehow the U.S. is winning in cricket. I'm going to go see the Reds play the Cubs on a 70-degree Sunday afternoon at Wrigley Field. There's plenty of things going on in the world besides the 4 hours of games that happened this week.
Yeah, Berdistimo's wrestling today, man. I'm going to go watch some wrestling today. It'd be great.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I eschewed watching the game live to go see a band that hadn't existed for 10 years and has only put out 45 minutes of album work at Spider House Music Hall. Cafe and Ballroom, whatever it's called. And Riley and I were the only people there over the age of 23. And I don't know if I looked like a fetus when I was 18, but all of the people there looked like fetuses.
You looked like a fetus when you were 18.
Yeah, I was pretty sure. I don't know if it's just gotten worse.
Try going to a high school graduation this week where there's several hundred and you're just looking around what?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when the kid you're there to see graduate, you remember the kid being born, and getting baby pictures while I was living somewhere completely different. Right? It's very weird, man.
Yeah, no, I'll say in my professional life, I have to go to a bunch of high school graduations around this time of year, and you get to compare and contrast them, and it's quite interesting. I was at one on Wednesday where it was in a predominantly Mexican-American neighborhood here, and they played the Mexican national anthem at the graduation, which I was like, wow, that is – and then I have one tomorrow that is a public school graduation that is at a church in Chicago. It's one thing in Texas to expect that, but in Chicago, what?
That did not happen in Florida, the one I was at, so that's interesting.
I was about to say my public high school graduation was at a church. And it was in North Texas, so that's just on brand.
I mean, even in Alabama, when I graduated, we did the local civic center. That's interesting. Huh.
Well, I think there's a whole thing, we were going to have it at, UNT's auditorium, but they didn't book it correctly or in time, and so they had to, scramble, a month out from graduation when they realized they didn't actually have a place for it.
Mm.
High school was great.
Yeah,
very organized.
I went to a Catholic high school, and ours was in our gym. So even in a literally religious school in a religious city, we didn't have ours in a church. There was a priest doing it, though, so, I mean, I guess that counts. But while I've been sitting here rubbing this stupid fucking stamp off my hand like I'm 23 years old again, I did go back and rewatch the game, and you guys warned me not to, and I still did it anyways. So I guess we can do you want to do these one-on-one, or should we just take them both as a giant bulk of fuck mess? Because to me, they're two games that I think results like these were coming and they were due for us, but they're very different games. So I guess do we want to get RSL out of the way and work backwards?
Sure.
Okay. Charles, give me 100 characters or less on this game, and hopefully we'll move on past it pretty quickly.
I think the biggest takeaway is that, one, RSL's good. They have a lot of very good players who play very fluidly and have a lot of, pace and attacking verve to them. And, looking at how Austin deployed in a way that would have made more sense to try to bunker down more and try to have more defenders, and just not doing that and letting them have space, and especially space behind to play the ball into, was just a recipe for disaster from the beginning.
Yeah, I think as soon as I saw the lineup, I was like, yeah, Concert was the right decision. Because if ever there was a game to play 3 at the back, you got most of your center backs healthy. You're kind of down just about everywhere else. Like, you're going to RSL, 3 at the back, stack your D mids, and try to get out of there relatively unscathed. We didn't do that. Brad, kind of quick thoughts from you?
I knew we were cooked the moment John Kolmanich was playing wing. There was no lineup that we could have put out there last night that I think was going to compete or even honestly have a chance at a 0-0 draw. Because yes, I'm happy Rigoni's gone, but one thing Rigoni brought on the wing was defensive help. And we've lost that a little bit right now. But there's a silver lining, I think, to the week, and that is somehow, some way, we're still in 6th place halfway through the season. So not going to lose too much sleep over it.
6th place.
Sort of. Like, we got to call a few major caveats on that because most of the other teams in the West have not played a full 17 games yet.
We're on 23 points from 17 games, though.
Yes,
which is honestly way better than.
Pace.
Yeah, we're on a playoff-ish pace, and it just. I mean, we're going to talk about this, I'm sure, over the next few minutes, but it's getting to a reality of can this team get to 30 points by the League's Cup break? Because then you would only need about 15 points from the final 10 matches when we'll have some reinforcements to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, I looked at the schedule again today, and it's 9 matches after League's Cup, right?
10, I thought.
10?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's too much of an ask on the return there. I would rather not play RSL in the playoffs, so if we could not be in that 8-9 game for obvious reasons, but that one too, that would be good.
But also, I think in RSL, that is a different, if you have, I don't know, a wing back who can defend, a winger who can attack, a center mid who can actually play. The team that we would hopefully be playing against RSL in the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like having Driussi, Bukhari, and Dessler out there makes a huge difference in that match, right? So, yeah, I'm kind of with you, Seth. I'd be curious to see how that actually matches up, which we would be able to see later this year because I don't think we play RSL till late in the year.
No, it's pretty. I think it.
Yeah, they come here in September. Yeah. They come here late September.
So maybe we'll get a preview then. Did we do anything good in this game? Because I did watch it, but
we were really good at giving up goals.
Honestly, RSL could have scored more pretty easily.
Yeah,
I watched that first.
There's one saved off the line, and there's a couple other good saves. I thought the one bright spot is that, Owen Wolff is still really good at drawing penalties. He's just really good at using his body to, do that. And, that's just a skill that, goes underappreciated.
I feel like he, gets up and watches 30 minutes of Anthony Gordon highlight videos every day because, this is all he does is just, body in between the guy and then fall over, and then it seems to get called.
I mean, stick with what works. That provides value. Yeah,
I'm not hating on it. It seems like a few of these have come in dead games too. Because didn't you have another one when we were down 2 or 3-0, and he fell over at the 93rd minute or something? I seem to recall that, but
he drew one. It was late in the game,
home game. I don't remember which game, but yeah.
Well, I think this is the 3rd he's drawn this season.
I think so, yeah.
Which I feel as though probably puts him on a list of actually really good attackers in the league of people who've drawn that many.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of surprising.
Is Owen quietly our best shithouser?
Ooh, he's up there for me.
Oh,
yeah.
I would love to see Owen embrace full shithousing. That would be an amazing career turn for him.
I mean, we got some solid Biru shithousing too with the little locked horns on the throw-in at the end of the game thing.
Yes. I still think Diego Rubio is our top team shithouser.
Yeah, at least the most consistent. He's quite good at that. But I don't know, not a ton to the game. We'll kind of hit some key events here, but what percentage of blame are you putting on Stuver for the first goal? I guess maybe not percentage, but how bad is that from Stuver in your opinion? Because I'm going to probably upset some people with my answer here.
I don't think it's bad at all. So if you really look at his positioning, and if you watch Stuver, if you really pay attention to Stuver every game in and game out, when the ball's in the other half, where is he usually standing?
Nearly in the center
About
circle.
where he was standing last year. I mean, he's normally around the top of the box. He's a sweeper keeper. He wasn't. If you look at the ones he's given up like that in the past, it's when he's been way outside the box. Last night, he was at the top of the box where he normally is, about 17 yards from goal. The question you have to ask is, why does Chicho Arango have time to sit there, analyze the situation, take 2 steps, and then hit the ball? Versus having someone actually, I don't know, try to play defense.
I mean, but look at it. We played a back 3/back 5 that looked like something that just provided acres and acres of space.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna agree with Brad though. Like that was a insanely well hit shot. Like it barely went under the bar. And yeah, if you're gonna play your keeper out that far, this like maybe the ball's not gonna go in, but like this is gonna happen from time to time. It's just part of the gamble you take.
Yeah, like I mean, even like watching how it scores, like if that's anywhere else, I think Stuver gets it. Like I just think that's I like some of it is on Stuver for like inviting that kind of attempt, but then you watch like, spoiler alert, RSL scored a bunch of other goals. A lot of them were by playing the ball in behind in ways that like in theory Stuver would have to come out to try to help on, and so you're kind of screwed either way if Arango's just gonna like not have any pressure on him, and also just he's really good. I don't know how else to say it besides that like letting him go is the biggest mistake LAFC's made in a long time.
Also,
Yeah.
I mean, he also spent time down at Pachuca, which like he was okay down at Pachuca, and the fact that RSL was able to get him back from Pachuca, but then again, Pachuca got Solomon Rondon, and they looked like world beaters against the diarrhea-infested Crew last night.
Montezuma's revenge.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't caught up with all of the PCC yet.
I just assumed that like they accidentally had some like Cincinnati chili or something, and that was the reason why.
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's good chance Ohio just got him sick.
Yeah. Or just like, oh, Ohio has no mountains. We're going to bring you to 8,000 feet above sea level on probably like a shitty sun country plane and then have to go over Mexican roads for 2 hours. I don't even know if food is necessary in that equation.
I don't know, but I mean, maybe we should have used that excuse.
Yeah, if you looked at, I was watching a little bit of that match last night, and at least Josh Wolf was standing in his super forlorn face on the sideline. Wilfred Nancy was so sick at the Crew game that he stood for less than 5 minutes of the match.
I seriously thought Wolf was going to cry last night.
So has anyone actually seen the press conference? Because I have not.
I got the impression from Phil it didn't happen.
Phil West right now. Like there's some quotes right now from Phil West coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm running through them.
All right. Well.
Yeah, I just saw Phil's article just drop, so I'm gonna try to read that here as well. But it is.
Yeah, you guys can go ahead and do that, and we'll kind of knock out the rest of the game. Like as Charles mentioned, RSL scores like a few other goals. Like whatever, it happens. You get this weird thing that happens at 4-0 in the second half, which, by the way, in the first half we had, according to the Apple stats, 1 shot and 0.03 XG. They were over 2.5, obviously at 4 goals. Could have had more. Some good saves from Stuver. Gallagher cleared one off the line like we talked about. They just missed a couple. But, like, that game could have – and we had a chance or two. We just didn't do anything with them. But, like, that game being 7-2 at halftime was a realistic possibility. But yeah, let's talk about the because we love talking about referees.
No,
the
that game would not have been 7-2 was not a realistic possibility. 7-0 was a realistic possibility. There was no chance that we were scoring in that first half.
Sure, like if we were more clinical, I guess is what I'm saying, because there were chances to come through.
Yes, but no.
Yeah, we had the one break. We had the one break where
that's true.
Obrion got down the right side, tried to cut back pass, and it got cut out from behind. But that was about it. I can remember.
Yeah, and we had one right after their first goal that I think it was Gallagher hit the byline and then played it across the zone of uncertainty, and it just went all the way through the box, and nobody was anywhere near it, just in between everyone. But so refereeing controversy. The game is 4-0. It is fucking over. We spring a break. Danny makes a nice pass. Obrian runs through, goes by everybody, finishes through the keeper more or less, 4-1, except it isn't. So I didn't watch this live, but anybody who did want to jump in and tell me how full of rage you were when you saw this get called.
It was definitely my running moment of suffering. Like right there, it's like wow. Like even in a game where a midfield goal was scored on us, in a week where Seba missed another PK, like that was just like because no one saw that handball live, and it's like one of those things like by the letter of the current handball law, which changes every 6 months, that like yes,
6 hours.
it was a handball.
I don't know if it is because of how close that ball coming off and like hitting him is, because like his arms, that's sort of like a naturalist jumping motion, and the ball's a foot away from him when it redirects and then hits him. I'm with you. Like I'm generally kind of more supportive of VAR than most people, like as a technology, but like if it's something that nobody on the field is even asking for, what are you doing? Brad or Charles, you guys want to jump in here real quick?
But it's like that motion didn't directly lead to the goal, which is the other thing that really bothers me about that.
Yeah, and you can also do the like it's 4-0. Like, come on.
Yeah,
I was very much long asleep by this point, and have not seen what you were speaking of.
So here's the thing. I think it is a penalty. I think that like by the letter of the law, it's a penalty. I didn't think I'm kind of agreeing in the sense that like I didn't realize they could go back and change that. Like because like to me that's not part of the build up to the goal, and so I kind of thought that was the standard. But I realized that I'm probably thinking of a different league's VAR standard since all of them are different. It's kind of the most like what the fuck refereeing decision I think I've ever actually witnessed, of like taking a goal away to give a penalty. And at the same time, like I think that if it happened the other way, especially if it was at like Q2 or something, I think the crowd and we didn't get that call, I think everybody would be like, "What the fuck? Why didn't we get the penalty? The refs hate us. VAR hates us. Blah blah blah." But also, VAR hates us.
Yeah, I don't know. At that one at 4-0, if we're up and they don't come back and get like a weird, like let's just say it's a handball, but it's a soft handball. Like let's just say that for the sake of conversation. Like, yeah, people are going to complain because people always complain, but like, then we're probably going to like pile on 2 more goals or something, and it's going to be like a oh ha 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 silly footnote.
Yeah, I actually thought the worst refereeing decision of the night was putting 8 minutes at the end of the second half. Like, we don't need to play 8 more minutes of this. We can just like mercy rule it ended at 90. Like nobody wanted that.
yeah. I mean, we did score the penalty after that, but I agree with you. I mean, the Bundesliga gets this right. If you have a match that has a 3 or more goal margin at the end of it, like at the end of 90, they won't do it at 45, but at 90, they will just be like, "We're waving off the stoppage time. This is common sense."
Yeah, or just throw like a minute or 2 on or something. Like you don't need to chalk up 8 minutes.
Yeah, no, but I mean, heck, and we haven't even talked about what happened before the match, where we started like 7 minutes late because they couldn't turn the sprinklers off.
Okay, I was wondering what happened with that, because I was trying to like fast forward on the rewatch, and I was like, it should be like roughly at this timestamp, and then it never did.
No, here's the thing. Like that was fun. Like that was like the last moment of fun that we had. Yeah, last night was just like making fun of the sprinklers. And just like had that been a better result, we could have called it the sprinkler game, which I'm sure like Real Salt Lake fans are probably calling it. But like that's one of the weirder moments we've had of just like is nobody like standing nearby to just like turn the water off? And that wasn't even the weirdest like non-water situation, because like Atlanta Charlotte has limited concessions today due to a boil notice.
Oh yeah, yeah, our MLS Sickos game of Sunday. I think it kicks off at what, like 3:30?
Yeah, three.
Yeah, okay.
Well, because it's a Fox game, so 3:55 real kickoff time.
Okay, yeah, no, it'll be right after FCito plays, so we can go full sickos on that. And
well, I think FCito is
they're 2 because it got moved.
Yeah, so you'll have to.
Anyway. I think we lost Seth for a second.
I didn't even realize FCito had plays today.
Can you guys hear me now? Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry about that. Yeah, no, FCito plays at 4, so exact same time as the Charlotte Atlanta game.
Oh, okay.
But
Weird.
FCito got moved to America First Field, so we'll see if the sprinklers go off again.
Fuck yeah. All right, well, we stalled a little bit here. Brad, you got any good post-game quotes for us?
You would ask that just as I closed out of it, which is, of course...
Give us the gist.
Yeah. No, just as I closed out of the article. The basic gist, honestly, from Alex Ring was this is inexcusable. He was the player that was made available to speak last night. He said, doesn't matter kind of who's on the field. We have to pride ourselves on something better than that. Sounds like Josh Wolf mentioned that, yes, there's a ton of re-aggravations and to injuries. He's specifically mentioning we're going to be out with some players coming up soon thanks to international duty, but guys have to step up and play. And take some time away. Sounds, I think the 2 weeks off. If we're one of the only teams that hasn't had a bye week so far, if I'm not mistaken. So they're going to take a little time off here. It looks like try to rest and recover because we are thin moving forward. Looks like Josh was pretty happy with the second half. They said they challenged Pereira to go that last 45 to make sure they didn't get a red, which I would contend maybe would have been smart to get the red because he's on yellow card accumulation and he's going to be gone for a little while. Take it and take the penalty while you're gone. And if he's saying, in the future, if we only have 15 or 16 guys to dress coming up, then that is what it is because they're not just going to rush guys up from FCito, it sounds like, just to put them on the roster. So I don't know. The second half, he said they went in halftime and challenged the team to come out and quote unquote try to win the second half, which he felt like they did. I know the score line, I think, was 1-1 or maybe, because it was 4-0 at the half. So it was 1-1 in the second half, but arguably should have been 2-0 or 2-1 Austin, depending on how you look at the penalty that you guys just spoke about. I've yet to see the penalty, so it's hard for me to go back and look at this very moment. But, obviously they're disappointed with the loss. They're disappointed with the performance overall. Ring, I think, was especially spicy in his quotes when you go read them. Josh seems to be trying to take the 35,000-foot level view a little more often on this one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, sometimes after a game, there's not much to say.
Yeah, I mean, you get your ass kicked, right? And those happen. There was a comment on Twitter last night I saw. It was, we'll never live, or it's going to be a long time before we live this one down. And I'm like, it's MLS. Nobody's going to remember next week.
I was going to say, most of the league probably doesn't even know what happened.
Yeah. There were way better games in the 6:30 slot last night that people are going to talk about than this.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't even the most goals that were scored in an MLS match. I mean, St. Louis and Miami played a 3-3 match.
Yeah. Well, and there were some wild finishes in that 6:30 block last night. That freaking DC game was crazy. So I look at this, and people are gonna, because I don't come from the following international soccer mindset, and I follow MLS and I follow my national team, and that's it. I don't really pay attention to other leagues, as I've been very vocal about. I'll watch a game if it's on in the morning, but I don't take one loss because goal differential also means jack shit in this league. That's the other thing we have to keep in mind. It's like the second or third tiebreaker. I look at this from the perspective of either a baseball or football, where it's like, yeah, that sucked. Okay, what's going on next week? Hell, the Broncos beat the Chiefs last year. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen in the NFL, but it did. And you tell me who had a better season. The Yankees are, when they win 110 games during a baseball season, and when they were great in the early 2000s, they still had games where they lost 10-0 during the season.
The White Sox have won 15 games this year.
The Colorado Rockies have the second best record in the National League last month. none of that makes sense when you look at how bad they are as a team constructively. So it's American sports, and you have to look at MLS from an American sports lens because of the way the league is set up. And so I'm just not going to overreact to one shit-ass performance where we're missing some of our best players and playing against a really, really, really good team to boot on the road. I'm more concerned about what happened Wednesday night than I am last night.
Same.
Yeah, so getting back to that, like, I do think that a lot of soccer fans have a European perspective of things. Like, one of the things that I think gets lost is that MLS is a league that is designed to be more of an American style league where like one loss doesn't kill you. Like, if you think about it, the record for points in a season for a 34 match season in MLS is 73. If you look at the other European leagues, like 73 points is like barely a top four finish in the Premier League, and even RSL, who's really good, is still just they have 7 draws on the season, which I think leads the league. No, I'm sorry, Nashville and DC have 7, or also have 7. So just one of those things of like, there's just more parity and there's just more weird results like this than you see in like European games. And I think some of it is also just like, since most fans root for the top teams, and like one loss can be a catastrophe in a season. Looking at Liverpool's loss to United ended their title hopes, and so like one game can really make that difference. And in MLS, it's just not that way. Like, everybody will be like, Austin gets 2 weeks off, and in 2 weeks they'll play at Colorado, which I think it's weird that they're playing the 2 highest altitude games back to back. Just as a weird scheduling quirk, but like, it doesn't matter. Like, most of us have already forgotten the Portland match at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like the one loss, honestly, if we're going to have it, let's have it in May or June. Fine. If we're going to get smacked around. And like you said, yeah, European teams like Arsenal went 16-1-1. The one draw was against Man City to end the season. The one loss is the reason they didn't win the title. Like, I get the mentality that it's catastrophic. It doesn't fucking matter here. Like, it's not great, but, and I mean, the manner of it doesn't help either.
Yeah, I mean, like, the goal of the season is just to get in the playoffs. Like, that's the goal.
Exactly.
And, like, to try to be as healthy as you can. And, like, I mean, Austin's biggest problem right now is that they're not a deep team and they're not a healthy team. And, like, getting the bye is going to be really good for them.
Yeah. Do we want to quick hit Wednesday and then kind of synthesize all this together?
Yes.
All right. Wednesday was the other sort of game I thought we were due for like a bad performance on, where essentially we outplay the other team, they take their chances and we don't. It was a bit of a spectacle due to Victor Rivas being absolutely abjectly fucking shit at his job and losing control of the match in the first 10 seconds of it. Not why we lost the game, but quick hitters, early penalty, Seba steps up. There's a weird thing where like the keeper is standing behind the line and the ref like stops the penalty to tell the keeper to stay behind the line. He's already behind. Seba hits like probably the worst penalty I've ever seen him or anybody at Austin ever hit. Easy save. And then, they get one little chance towards the end of the first half, and Evander hits a absolutely stunning free kick. And we go in down 1-0. So kind of first half thoughts or anything you guys want to hit on?
The Evander free kick, I think, is the best free kick I've ever seen at Q2 Stadium. I wasn't there to watch it live. I was watching it on TV, and I was watching my uncle, who does not really know anything about soccer. And when that ball went in and they showed the replay bending outside the post and then back in, he was stunned. And I was slack-jawed at it. The PK from Driussi, I actually think if you watched most of his PKs, he goes left. He goes to his left. So I think because he had his last one saved, he was trying to change patterns and go back right, and maybe just isn't as comfortable going that way, which caused some of the softness. More than anything, I just thought we were sloppy. The game in the first half was wide open and sloppy and had no structure to it, which was frustrating to watch for me.
Yeah, Portland definitely came more prepared for like a playground game. And we, for whatever reason, sort of fell into it. Charles or Seth, anything you guys want to add on the first half?
Well, I mean, go ahead, Charles.
On the free kick, I didn't think Stuver set up the wall very well. I kind of thought there was a little too much space, like on that side, even because I was kind of right in front of me when I was in the supporter section, and even like while the kick was setting up, there was something weird going on with the wall to where it didn't look like it was in the correct place. To me, like this is a very classic like sliding doors game, like, there's a world where Driussi slams that free kick home and Austin ends up winning like 3-1 or something, and it just is just one of those things of like, if the season taught us anything, it's that your DPs matter and your DPs have to perform. And if they don't, you're not going to get a result. And Austin's reliance on only having one DP who can do that is really just like the limiting factor of the ceiling of this team. Their keeper, who was their backup, and I think actually probably might end up being their starter because Crepo's been just like really bad this season. He had a quote post game of just like, "Oh, I was looking at." Exactly what Brad said of like, I was looking at Driussi's penalties and they're always left and he misses last one left. So I just thought he was going to go right. So I guessed it. And so like, sometimes like, it's just like the fun thing about penalties is that there is just some really fun basic game theory going on. And, the keeper guessed correctly. And like, that's just something that happens in soccer.
Yeah. I mean, kind of like, obviously this is very different because, Seb is a DP and he's a professional player, but sort of penalty 101 is don't think about the keeper, just go in and put it in. I mean, obviously you have different ways where people are now kind of doing these like slow, stoppy run-ups where you wait and get the keeper to commit and then you react that way. But I mean, if you're going to go in and like, you look at people like, I think of like some really classic, like awesome penalty takers, like Harry Kane, as much as I don't like the guy. Robin Van Persie, like they walk up and they could literally like probably point to the spot they're going to kick it and just be like, I'm going to put it there. I dare you to fucking save it.
I mean, I think that's what Ring did last night.
Yeah, pretty much.
He took like he just buried it in the bottom corner and just like put it far enough outside of like the keeper wasn't saving it.
Yeah, I want to go back to the free kick real quick because you probably have a better view on this. I agree about the wall. Do you think Stuver sees it late?
That's kind of what it looked like to me. Like I
Okay.
kind of thought he, because I think part of it too is that like Portland was doing a lot to kind of like what would be Stuver's right of the wall of like trying to look like they were trying to clear out an opening, and I think they were kind of like, I think it was a pretty like clever ruse to try to just like get him to look somewhere else, or to be worried somewhere else, and then he just got to it late. And that free kick was just such a blast of a shot in terms of like the pace on it, like any kind of hesitancy, and he had no chance.
Yeah, that was my thought. I saw, like, we know the Austin FC online, people love lighting up Stuver anytime the ball goes in the net, but and sometimes it's his fault. But this one, I think, like, if he maybe just sees it like a half step earlier, he gets across.
Yeah, but also, like, I mean, that's a great goal. Like,
Yeah.
we're not going to see a better free kick goal than that in MLS this season.
No. Well, I mean, that's, we've had three bad performances, but in a row, and two, pretty gut punch losses, but both of those included like absolute fucking worldy goals to open the scoring from the other team.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Stuver did like a Zach McMath and just like threw 2 goals away like they did agast Dallas.
No, that was hilarious.
Oh no, they were funny. I mean, that's kind of why I think that. I mean, McMath started last night, but I think Beavers is going to overtake him this season.
Yeah. Seth, any thoughts you want to jump in on here, or do you want to guys kind of quick move to the second half?
Yeah, no, I think it's also that we came out like it felt to me like we were still lagging from the San Jose Energy. Like if we look at it, a 3-match week are brutal, especially with a short roster, but having to go West Coast back home, and I mean, you guys, well, at least 2 of you were there. Like that was the hottest, most human match we've had of the season so far, right?
Yeah, probably. At least in competition.
Like when you're playing a team like
second.
Yeah. But it seemed like we were not in the physical condition that we should have been. Like you're playing a team from the Pacific Northwest at home on a weekday. That should be a huge home field advantage. And we played a lot of Portland weekday games at home, and like we haven't taken advantage of them in the last 3 seasons since Steve Clark left, which is leading to one of my like completely ridiculous theories.
What was the completely ridiculous theory?
Seth, we lost you, buddy.
There. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
There you go.
Sorry, it's this phone app because my computer blocked me from getting on the Ringer app today, so I apologize for any sound quality there. But yeah, this ridiculous theory that that since Steve Clark left Portland, they have won all 3 matches in Austin.
Yeah, that's a little rough. And don't worry, I'm not going to fix any of this in post because it kind of adds to the meta ethos of suffering through these past couple of games that we're having mild technical difficulties. So we're going to leave all this in.
We have minor technical difficulties. The team has minor difficulties fielding a roster, completing basic passes, defending. You know, Austin FC.
Something Victor Rivas joke here. So 2 quick questions, then we'll kind of do like the quick little meta conversation. But I think statistically, the RSL game is tied for the worst loss in Austin FC history, like viscerally as an experience, or, you know, you think as a fan, is that RSL loss the worst loss in Austin FC history? I'll start with Charles.
Yes, I think it is. I think the only one that would compare was like that first season when Dallas went into the half at like 4-1, the infamous Cuervo celebration of the Dallas goal game. But at least then, like the second half, like Austin showed some life with Driussi out there, and like last night was just it was a game that felt over in 15 minutes. Like we really could have just been like, hey guys, we don't need to play the last of this. Like it's just over. It reminded me too much of the only other time we've lost a half 4-0 was the away to San Jose in October of 2021, which is the infamous that's a bullshit question press conference after, and just kind of has like the same feel to it. I think the bigger worry, and I don't know if we want to get into a Wolf conversation, but like, you know, one of the things is that it does feel like these matches are just going to happen to Austin with Wolf in charge. Like even seeing like because we keep seeing the same patterns that we saw in season 1 and early in season 2 even, of just like, oh, sometimes you're just going to get steamrolled.
Yeah, I mean, we can do the Wolf thing now, unless Brad or Seth, you want to weigh in on the worst loss question real quick, and then we can jump into Wolf.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I will say it was I still think at St. Louis last year, yes, we scored 3 goals in that game, but that game was so utterly miserable in that we gave up 6 goals and didn't show any interest in playing. And also the heat and humidity, as somebody who was there in person, was just awful. But it was to that point, like that was the most demoralizing. But last night, like it was a weird thing. Like if it had gotten worse than 5-0, I would say that. But like we actually played pretty well in the second half. And their second half goals we've already previously discussed was sort of bullshit. So, like, as we go to that world, like, we actually had some, like, if the match had ended at halftime, I would say the first half is the single worst half of Austin FC I've ever seen, but I would not put this match as the single worst match.
Okay, yeah, that's probably a good way to split it.
Yeah, and I will say one that is a sneaky one up there would be the Orlando match that we played earlier this year, where, yes, we only lost 2-0, but we created no opportunities whatsoever.
Nobody's going to go for the Western Conference Final either?
Well, I mean, and honestly, the 2023 loss where Denny Bouanga had a hat trick at LAFC was a way worse game than the Western Conference Final. Because, like, if we get the penalty in the Western Conference Final, we're down 2-1 with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, true. All right, well, you know, it's in the conversation at least. I don't really have like a strong opinion because I didn't watch it live, so I don't really feel as comfortable weighing in on it, but it didn't look great.
That first half was fucking miserable. There's no way around it.
Yeah, and after the Minnesota game to start the season, we were saying that was the worst half we'd ever seen in the first half for Austin.
Yeah, we only gave up 1 goal in that half. But, I mean, I will, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to keep in mind about last night was that was the most XG Austin's given up since the season-ending game in Portland in 2021, when like literally nobody wanted that game to happen. So that's kind of part of what like just like makes it feel like a worse experience.
I think coming off the back of the like, you know, we said we mostly outplayed Portland, ended up losing 2-0. Coming on the back of that, and then like a very wow, we were really lucky to get out of San Jose with a point performance. Probably didn't help. All right, let's talk about Wolf. Charles. Yeah. Charles, what do you want to talk about, Wolf?
I mean, I just think this is just another example of how just like I just don't think he's the guy. I just don't think he's anything but like an average MLS coach, and or even below average. Average might be being kind to him. And you know, a lot of people who have been Wolf out since 2021 like saw these things back then and were making comments on them. And even 4 years later, we keep seeing it. And at some point, like the front office and Roto just have to be like, oh, this is who this guy is as a coach. He's not, you know, going to make drastic changes or improvements. And like, I just need to make a basic decision of, is this the guy or not? And for a lot of us who have been on the Wolf outside for years now, he's not. And it's time to cut ties. You know, MLS is oddly a league where new coaches win early. You know, it's kind of obvious. I think dating back to like the last like 11 MLS Cup winners, it's been a coach in their first 3 seasons. And so you do kind of get an idea of like if the coach is going to be somebody you want to keep early.
So I've never changed from being Wolf out even during our little purple patch here. So are you like shifting back to Wolf out, or is this just like, yeah, no, it's just, this is what I've been worried about the whole time?
I mean, some of it is just being worried about what it is the whole time, because it is just like a pattern. You know, we kind of, I think in the end of the purple patch, like we saw some glimpses that things were changing, and like there's always like, I think there's this kind of like weird narrative about Wolf out folks that like we want the team to lose or that like we're rooting against the team or blah blah blah. But like we're not rooting against them. Like I would love for Josh to like have an epiphany and become a really good coach. I just don't think it's going to happen.
To be fair, there is a segment of Wolf out that wants the team to do poorly, so he gets fired. It's just not us.
No, I mean that's totally fair. I get that because I mean to some extent, like the only way he's going to get removed is if the results get bad enough. It seems pretty clear that like missing the playoffs is like the red line this year of for Roto in terms of like Josh staying or not. It's just one of those things of like, you know, I want the team to do well. You know, I wish everybody that we sign becomes this like amazing player in person, and I wish the coach would do great, and like everybody would be happy and joyous all the time. It just, you know, we live in the real world where that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and we've talked about it too. Even during that purple patch, we were winning doing things that, you know, OG non-Roto, you know, whispering in his ear Wolf wasn't doing. So, I mean, it's a whole thing. Brad, we haven't heard from you in a while. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much. I never moved off the Wolf out train. I thought we were playing better, which is great, but we've seen that 5-6 game patch before where we play some fantastic ball, and then I think part of that was due to who we were playing. I mean, it's not like we were playing the best teams in the league during that stretch either, which I think should be taken into account. Last night, Sorry, I thought Seth was about to say something. I don't think last night was a wake up call so much because I do take into account the roster depth that we have and who wasn't there. I also take into account who's coming in for reinforcements this summer. My gut tells me Josh Wolf's going to be the head coach here next year. Because I do think we're probably going to make the playoffs. Maybe that's overly optimistic for some people after this week. But if you look at our position in the standings halfway through this season, if you look at who's coming in, how that should change our ability to attack and defend once everybody's back healthy from Copa America, I think those last 10 games of the season are probably going to be pretty fun for us. And we might become the team that nobody wants to play for the playoffs because of the firepower that we should have across the line. So it's just, I'd love to see Josh gone because I'm with Charles. I don't think he's necessarily the coach that's ever going to be the guy that gets us there. But I think he is unfortunately going to become, and if you're a college football fan, you'll understand this reference, he's going to become our Mark Richt.
Ooh.
That might be an improvement, to be honest, but
where everyone's begging for Kirby, but there's not that many Kirbys around.
But also it's like he does just enough to keep his job all the time.
Yeah.
That's what that is. that Gus Malzahn was the same way at Auburn. Kirk Ferentz is the same way at Iowa, right? It's just enough to consistently not get fired.
Yep. Inertia move.
Yep.
But we got 2 weeks off, and I think for me at least, I've said this a lot of times and it never ends up happening. Like, oh, the next match, we're going to get a lot of answers on this. And then like something happens and it completely like blows up the we're going to get answers thing. But you got 2 weeks off. We got, a rough week behind us. And, I think coach is making the right move. Take a couple of days off, like, whatever, go on a float trip, go paintballing together, do something. Get back at it. And, if we come out kind of looking dire and listless against Colorado, I think that's going to put us into like a pretty bad tailspin for the rest of June, just looking at the schedule. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes. Seth at the top of the show mentioned that we probably needed 7 or 8 points between now and League's Cup break to get to those last 10 games with a realistic shot at making the playoffs with reinforcements arrive. We have 8 games from now to League's Cup. And let's see here. There's 2 3-game stretches where you play 3 in 8 days over those stretches. But who we play, man, and where we play, Seth, I got to be honest, man, I'm struggling finding 8 points.
Yeah, so like as we go through it, it's interesting. So we go to Colorado. I'm going to say contradictory things here. So I'm going to apologize in advance here because I have been, for Colorado, the 2 times we have won there, I have been in attendance. The times that we have not won there, I have not been in attendance. I will not be in attendance in Colorado. So I apologize for the defeat ahead of time. That being said, we go to Minnesota the next week where I have the exact opposite record. Every time I have not gone, we have won. Every time I have gone, we have lost. I know we were talking about very small sample sizes here. But if you want to base your stupid MLS betting on this, you can go ahead and do that. But you have to look at who the other teams are losing for Euros and Copa America. And in seriousness here, like we don't have, and I've been looking for it, but it is, I don't think we'll have it for another week or so. But like once we have that, we'll be able to assess a bunch of these matches better because a lot of teams are going to be pretty short string with guys who are at the Euros and at Copa America. So with that, like we're not talking about normal rosters. Obviously, we're going to lose Julio. We're going to lose Danny. There's a slight chance we lose Diego Rubio, but I don't think that's actually going to happen. But we're going to be very thin rostered for this first June. So like if we even get
I think we lost Seth again for a second, but I did check this morning and I think you're back.
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm doing the stupid phone thing. This app is not as good on the phone as it is on the computer. But as we're going through it there, it's going to be a challenging environment. Like I would say, like if we can get 2 points in the rest of June, the July schedule is a little easier than the June schedule because we go to Colorado, LAFC at home, going to Minnesota, and then to Sporting KC. Like if we can get 2 draws and 2 losses out of that, that is not atrocious. And then we go into July where we have NYCFC, Seattle, and Charlotte at home, and then at Frisco for a Copa Tejas finale. So I feel like there are more opportunities in the July schedule, and especially if Venezuela and or Costa Rica do not make the knockout stages of Copa America, which is pretty likely, we could get Danny and Julio back. Danny being more important, honestly, than Julio at this point, because hindsight will hopefully be able to help out a bunch because he has, and if Leo can be decent. And thank God Finland missed the Euros. What a weird thing to say.
Yeah, well, that's all the weird geopolitical maneuverings. The final rosters are due to CONMEBOL on June 12th. People submit them before then probably, but I'd ask kind of like a broader brush question here, but, we're all sort of like have been wolf out for a variety of very concrete reasons that aren't, super fluctuated with results. How much do you think that Copa Tejas quote unquote final on July 17th against Frisco, where we just need a draw to take it home, will weigh on the minds of kind of like the wider fan base?
Well, because it matters a little bit, but like if Dessler, Bukhari, and another signing are coming for the match on the 20th, that overshadows that. Yeah,
true. And I mean, we have that match on the 20th. We have, Pumas and Monterrey are going to like kick the shit out of us in Leagues Cups. Then we get a month off.
What happens if we don't? What happens if we actually look decent in those matches and actually start going on a Leagues Cup run?
Well, I'm not going to watch it, so I don't care. But
No, but like at a certain I've had this internal debate. Like I am not going to spend any time really watching the group stage matches. I'm traveling during it, but like I'll check the score. We're not going to do a podcast or anything. But like if we start winning and we get to a point where we actually have a chance at going to CONCACAF Champions Cup, like as much as I hate the thing, like God, I'll have to start paying attention to it.
Yeah, I mean, we might do like some.
Happen, but we need to be prepared for that scenario because this is Austin SC. Any weird thing can happen at any given time.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll kind of take that as it comes, and if we lose 8 games in a row or something to lead up to that, I don't think anybody's going to care. But I'm just looking at that break. If we, July 30th against Monterrey, if we're eliminated then, and we're kind of lagging, we got these shiny new toys. If you're going to pull the trigger on a coaching change, that might be the time to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm with Brad. I think.
But I also think that Josh is going to get a shot with the new guys. I don't see the earliest I see Josh getting fired would be a playoff elimination date before the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think he's here. Unless we somehow don't make the playoffs, he's here till next year. Which
is not that unfeasible. Look at the Western Conference standings. We are barely in the playoffs right now. Yes, we are technically in 6th place, but it doesn't take that much. Like you have teams behind us like St. Louis and Portland who have beaten us this season. It is not unrealistic to think that this team could end up finishing 11th or 12th in the West. I hope we don't. Because again, I want this team to succeed. I do not want this team to fail just so Josh Wolf gets fired. But it is, this is Austin FC. Anything's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other part of the Copa Tejas match against FC Dallas is that if Dallas gets healthy and gets everybody back, they're not out of it. At some point, just winning those games against teams that are also kind of pseudo playoff teams, like Colorado in 2 weeks, is going to be a lot more determinant of Austin's playoff position than anything else. And that's part of why the loss to Portland hurts so much is that Portland's in 9th now. They're a team that Austin really could have separated from of just maintaining distance between the bottom of the playoff table, and they just weren't able to do that.
Portland's going to be a playoff team come the end of the season. There is too much talent in that attack for them not to be a playoff team.
I mean, if you look at the West, Seattle's in 10th, St. Louis is in 11th, Portland's in 9th right now. There's a lot of teams that I think are good enough to be in the playoffs, and I'm not sure who's going to fall out of the playoffs in the West, but somebody's going to.
Matt.
We have a prime candidate right here unless all of our new signings click and we stay healthy.
I mean, my other thought was Houston. I think Houston is still unless they bring in somebody as a striker or they get Sebastian Ferreira healthy and on track, I could see them falling out too.
I don't know. I did forget to mention the worst part of losing to Portland. Phil Neville.
Oh God. I forgot we lost to Phil Neville.
Yeah. It's an international embarrassment. Literally, Letterkenny.gif, coach kicking over the trash can. Fucking embarrassing. All right. We kind of hinted at it, though, but now we got the final real green smoke confirmation that Osman Bukhari has signed from Crvena Zvezda. Go ahead and use whatever words you guys want to describe that are not. Or we can go back to calling him Red Star Belgrade, whatever you guys want. We kind of talked about him last week, but any additional thoughts, feelings? Very, very fast, good on the ball, seems to be decisive guy, good ad.
I'd say 80% good ad. My biggest question mark for him are 2 things. It's just adjusting to MLS. You never know how players will adjust to MLS. And the second is how good is he actually as a passer at this point? Yes, he's a pretty good scorer. He's scored some pretty epic goals and things like this. But what we really need from a winger right now is someone who we can feel comfortable that they're going to create chances. And I'm curious to see how he's going to be the guy to do that.
Yeah. Do we think we have that one game against Charlotte before Leagues Cup? For those of you who are kind of backtracking here, we covered this before, but we can't register these new guys until July 18th. So that would be the first game available. Are we assuming they're going to play in that Charlotte game? And if not, or if so, like, are we also just going to chuck him out for League's Cup? Are they going to take the, like, kind of mythological, but also kind of not real, like, Wolf Bedin time? Like, what do we think it's going to happen with him?
I think it depends on his visa situation. So, Bukhari is playing for World Cup qualifiers for Ghana on June 6th and June 10th. Those matches are going to be on FIFA Plus. So that means it is free to anyone. You don't actually.
Oh, we lost Seth again. Seth's phone is playing a very, very RSL style game today.
Yes, yes. My phone is getting to a point of anytime I do not touch the screen for 30 seconds, it stops recording me. So this is a very, very first world problem that we will make fun of endlessly on this podcast. But as we go through it, it is so he's playing in FIFA World Cup qualifiers June 6th, June 10th. For Ghana. Ghana has not had a great start to their World Cup qualifying campaign. The matches are for free on FIFA Plus. You can get that on your Roku, online, whatever else. So it should be pretty easy to watch. Would highly recommend seeing if he gets the start. So Paintsel and a few other guys are not called into this camp for the Black Stars. So he should actually get a decent amount of playing time. So that should be a great chance for people to go check him out and see how he does. And let's obviously hope he avoids injury and anything like that. And same thing with Leo, because we have a thin squad for the next few matches.
Yeah, and there's some surface level. Well, this guy's coming from Serbia. Can he play in Texas Heat? And like you mentioned, he's about to go play in World Cup qualifiers in June in Ghana and Mali, so I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, he is grown up in heat and humidity. This is not. I mean, I'm a little concerned for Dessler. We've talked about this previously on the podcast of like, he was like, it was so hot when I got to the south of France. And I'm like, oh boy. So there might be a little more adjustment for him.
Yeah, I mean, summer in Toulouse is basically like February here, so not too far away. But I do want to plug too. There's a nice little, about 20-minute long interview with a Ghanaian journalist on Moon Tower this week that's well worth a listen. And actually has worse audio quality than the stuff we're putting out right now with Seth's phone, so it'll make us feel better too. All right, break time. Brad, team building, what would you do to like bring everybody back together and actually like fix some of our problems?
Escape game, but whoever is the dumbest one on the team or gets left in gets cut.
Oh, okay. So you're going to go for an even thinner squad.
Yes.
Okay. I like the ruthlessness. Charles, any ideas here?
I would go rent out a banquet hall at a hotel and let the team have a pillow fight like they did in Amsterdam Ted Lasso episode. Because I think the team just needs to have like some fun team building that's like not too serious, and just something like restful and air conditioning.
Okay. Seth, you handle childish disputes for a living. What would you do to fix our team mentality?
You know what I would do is I would have a team. We'd have an open practice at Q2, and we would have get Murga in there, get everyone else in there, get some good vibes going. And then we have at the end of the practice, we have all the Escito guys, and whoever scores the most penalties gets a call up for the next match.
Okay, that'd be good. Yeah, I was thinking...
I also like the idea of the whole team like going out to the wrestling show tonight and helping Verdissimo win a match with like chairs and stuff, like as a big run-in.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we want to get into crazy stuff here, apparently I was obviously not in Utah last night, but apparently since the Escito guys are playing Real Monarchs at 4:00 today, that they were in the visiting fan section, and after RSL scored the third goal, all but two guys left the section. It's just like, ooh, the vibes are not there right now.
No, but
I got no problem with them leaving. They got a game today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I mean,
like, go to bed. It's fine.
Yeah. Even if the vibes are a little off, like, that's what we got to break for. That's what we got to fix it.
Bus back to their hotel or anything? Like, I assume that... Yeah.
I mean, you're in fucking suburban Utah. You can only get in so much trouble.
Yeah, you never know what they got these days out there in Utah. I mean, they have up to 5% beer there now on draft. I mean, that could be deadly stuff.
Hey, Uinta's a solid brewery.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they actually have a
but
bunch
I
of
don't
good beer
know.
out there. You just got to drink it in bottles
Ah,
because
all
there's
right. Well,
no
maybe they went to
ABV
go
limit on
see.
bottles.
Maybe they went to go see the Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Hey, it's you know what?
You-
Right now, as we are recording this, the Pride Parade is occurring in Salt Lake City, and it ends right on Temple Square on a Sunday, which I thought that's a statement. It's a new day in
Ah!
Salt Lake City.
See, everybody can learn and do new things.
Hey, they are inclusive of everyone.
Yeah,
Jesus doesn't hate them. I'll go with that.
yeah. We're not going to jump into theological stuff here. Um, no. That one wasn't Seth's phone cutting out. I just muted him. All right. I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about? Should we just do the format stuff now?
Or do we want to do grades for the
One thing I
first
want to
half of the
mention,
season?
Oh, yeah. Let's do that too. Charles?
I had one MLS thing, which is that people need to be aware that LAFC is back, and they are rocketing up the standings. I think they have 5 straight wins in the league, and that's a team that everybody needs to watch out for when we play them on the 19th. That could get ugly.
Joy. Wait, no, suffering. That one. All right. How do you guys want to do the like mid-season grades? I was just thinking like kind of name a standout player or two and kind of go from there. But Seth, if you have a fun way to do this, we can do it that way.
No, yeah, let's do a player of the half.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go first and take Brendan Heinzike.
That was mine.
Yeah, that's why I went first.
Moderator preference right there.
Yep. Hey, I usually let you guys go first almost on everything, so I wanted to take the easy one here. We're not paying him shit. He's our best defender. He's been a huge step up stylistically. Maybe a little tired the past game or two. Had some not so great moments, but still head and shoulders. I think the leader of the back line. Seth, you want to go second?
Yeah, I'm going to go with another one of our new arrivees in Biru. And Biru has he was someone who we thought would be a role player, and he's emerged into one of our most consistent team starters at this point. He's able to go up higher in attack. He has energy. He's able to get back on defense. He's been someone who has been I thought he would be a contributor to the team, but I thought they'd be someone that we wouldn't really see a major contributions out of this year as a role player, but that would be a long-term building block. And he's been someone who has been a real consistent contributor this season in the first half, which is faster than I expected. And if he goes on the growth trajectory that I had expected him to go on, he's going to be a really darn good player in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I think we're all very happy with him. He seems like a little spiky and pretty fun too. So I'm happy with it. Does he have as many non-penalty goals as Seba?
I think he might.
Okay.
But
it's close.
But honestly, his goal contribution is not what it is. Yes, his goal contribution is nice, and we always appreciate goals here. That's a freaking joy. But it is getting in the runs, the passes, the defense.
Yeah.
That he's a complete footballer, and we haven't had that many of those in the 4 seasons of Austin FC.
Nope. Yeah, I think 2 good choices. Brad, you want to go?
I think it's not a player; it's Rhoda.
Yeah.
If look at the guys you just named, I think the other on the list you could probably name is Oberon, for argument of being a player of the first half and the contributions that he's made to the team. The signings that we have coming in, we already know officially about Bucati, who is going to be our highest ever transfer that we've ever paid for a player, and on paper, and I think he's a higher profile signing than Dariusi on paper. And then if we get Dessler, which we all are pretty sure that's happening, we've known that for months, he hasn't missed yet on guys that he's brought in. Everything has been an upgrade. So for me, it's actually like tip of the cap to Anthony Precourt for actually going out and getting someone competent to run the football side of the organization.
Yeah. No arguments there. Charles?
I mean, yeah, Brad kind of alluded to it. I was going to say O'Brien, mostly because not just his performances, which have been really good. I think if he doesn't lead the league in goals disallowed, he's definitely at the top of it. And so I think that's part of the danger of his attack, but also that he brings a dimension that Austin hasn't had before. You know, even the goal that got called back last night, like we've never had somebody who's been able to just like get the ball and just run with it and outrun everybody who's trying to catch him and score. And that dimension is really something that can really change how the team plays and how other teams have to play us in a way that I hope Bakari's going to help, because I think of him as kind of a just like dialed up version of O'Brien, just in terms of like, you know, he's a pacey winger who's good on the ball and can score goals, and like just being able to have that dimension completely changes how Austin can play if the coach wanted to.
Nice subtle dig there at the end. Yeah, I agree. And, you know, we've been yelling for years that we needed pace, and now we have pace, and now we're getting more pace. So, you know, even after a rough week, things are looking up a bit.
This team is going to be able to play counter-attacking football.
If we want to.
If we want to.
Well, until we put Zardes in the game in the 75th minute.
Yeah. I mean, he'll run. He's just not going to get there. So, you can do a flick-on header. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. He's actually been, I mean, for the limited minutes he's played this year, he hasn't been bad. So
he was still going like as full as he goes, at least in 75, 80th minute on Wednesday. So, I mean, it's not that fast, but if you're going to, you know, judge the guy on a curve, like he's still going max, even though max isn't that fast. So, I mean, fitness-wise, that was helpful to eat some minutes. But, yeah, you guys want to do another, we'll do one more quick one. Game of the season so far, like good, bad, instructive, however you want to take it. Charles, you can go first on this one.
I think game of the season, mostly because of just like the vibes and the fun of it, was the San Jose Earthquakes game at home.
Yep.
I love chaos. I love fast-paced matches. I like the back and forth of scoring goals. And I thought that was really, I think those were probably the best vibes in the Q2 so far this season. Especially like after like just like the dramatic way of winning it and the back and forth of it. And it was just a really fun game.
Yeah, that would have been my first pick. But Brad, you want to take one?
No, that was going to be mine too, because I think it's actually instructive of the entire season within 90 minutes or 100 minutes, however long that game went. We fell down big, fought back, found a way to give up the lead. And then we've been better this year about not giving up late goals, but actually scoring some late goals for the most part. So I just think that was the chaos and the up and down roller coaster that has been the 2024 season within a microcosm of a game.
Yeah. That's why we like San Jose at home. Seth, was that your pick too?
No, it actually wasn't my pick. I was going to go with the LA Galaxy win.
Yep,
we got
that was my
two
backup.
early goals there. Like that was I think the San Jose game was the most emblematic game of the first half. I think the LA Galaxy game, the fact that we got out to two early goals, that it was a super rare home daytime game, and we are very good in those. And dear MLS schedule makers, dear Apple TV, please schedule more non-summertime daytime games at Q2 so people can bring their kids and take advantage of that. And we're winning a bunch of them. So, like, let's go continue to build on that. And the fact that with that offensive line that we held a clean sheet against them is the most impressive result we've had this season.
Yeah, I thought about that one too, because it was sort of the like, oh, you know, we nicked a couple results and we had that crazy San Jose game, but this is the first time we played a team that people recognized was like good, and we went out and like actually like beat them on the field. Like we beat Houston right before that, but that was like us holding on for dear life and getting a lucky goal at the end of the game. Like we went out and we, like you said, you know, clean sheet against a great forward line and actually beat them on the field not just, lucky goal, smash and grab. But it was like, whoa, something might be brewing here. But
yeah, I will say the Galaxy are a weird team. The Chicago Fire, who I did not go and see in person last night because it was pouring down rain here, and decided to stay home and watch this disaster instead. But did beat the Galaxy last night, which is kind of crazy because the Fire hadn't won. They had not led until they took the lead in the second half in 872 minutes. We have suffered a lot as Austin FC fans. We have never not held a lead for over 9 matches. Like, that was wild for them. But congratulations to the Chicago Fire on getting a win. And they also had a hilarious thing. I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter because it started making the rounds in the league that Kustias, who's their backup striker, when he signed last year, would tuck in his shirt. And he stopped tucking in his shirt, and the team has gone on a huge slide since then. And a fan decided to DM Kellen Acosta on Instagram and tell him that the only way the Fire are going to win a game is if he tucks in his shirt. And Kellen Acosta replied back with the captain saluting emoji, "I got you." And that was confirmed that Kellen Acosta delivered the message that he had to tuck in his shirt in the post-game press conference, and the Fire won a game. So we need to find whatever is going to be the Austin FC superstition equivalent of this.
I got nothing right now, but we'll work on it. We got 2 weeks.
We used to have Diego's hair color, so we don't have that anymore.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get something with one of our new signings that has something very funky with that.
Yeah, we can do that. Also, sort of karmatic revenge for the existence of Ricky Pooge.
Who just got an extension on his DP deal.
He did. So, good for him.
Maybe LA will have better public transit by the time he's done with that deal.
No.
Hey, more people took LA Transit than Chicago Transit last year, which is not a statement in favor of LA. It's a statement against.
Yeah. All right. For the week, let's do format. Brad, stock rising.
I don't really have one. I mean, vacation?
Yeah, vacation's a good one.
Yeah, if they get a few days off here, I don't really have one. I don't think anybody played deserving of a stock rising designation this week.
Vacation's all I ever wanted. Yeah, I think this break's coming at a very good time. If we haven't said it 45 times already.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take that. Charles?
I think the stock rising is that, is myself actually. I don't know. I know nobody's been following this, but me. But the chickens have been really off this season, and I feel as though and I'm sorry, the chickens have been off. I've been off in interpreting them, but I finally, interpreted correctly yesterday and got the prediction of Austin FC losing, and so I'm feeling really good.
Yeah. Maybe see if you can interpret them predicting a win and make that happen, but I don't know how the chickens work.
I mean, they would have to interpret. They would have to divine that a win is going to happen for me to interpret it correctly. And so there's just like a couple layers of of mistakes possible in this.
Okay. Seth, how about you?
I think we have to go with Brad's choice for the pick of the season for Roto getting the Bukhari deal across the finish line, because there were some rumors that it was close, that it wasn't as close for getting that deal across and announcing it this week, because that would be the good detail of actually getting it announced this week, and rather than us waiting to be like, okay, it's not going to be official till mid-July, sort of like where we've been in the same limbo with Dessler. Like, actually having it announced, that was the best thing that happened in Austin FC World this week.
Yeah. I was gonna kind of combine Roto and vacation, but I'm gonna try to take a different path here. So I'm gonna go with summer tournaments, because I can sort of watch Copa America and Euros and not really care what happens and just sort of vibe out. And you basically get, almost an entire month of sun up to sundown games where you can just throw them on and vibe out. So that'll be nice.
8, 11, and 2 o'clock kicks are wonderful.
And then it's 5 for the early slot for Copa, right?
Yeah.
So that's basically every 3 hours. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be ashamed at the amount of Fox I'm going to be watching, unfortunately.
It's part of the territory, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh well. I'm sure they'll say something incredibly stupid, and we can make fun of them for it.
Over
And
under on
also,
how many times you hear
the
the
best
words
reminder
summer
is
of
that
soccer.
Univision, Unimas y Tudane tiene todos los partidos en español. Even if you don't speak Spanish, it is oftentimes far more enjoyable and tolerable to watch it in Spanish.
I agree. Sorry, Brad. What were you going to say?
Over under on how many times you hear the words summer of soccer on Fox.
Oh my God. More or less than Messi.
But obviously the biggest problem with Fox is that Alexi Lawless is somehow still employed over there.
I don't know. I get a lot of use out of the mute button. You guys can hear my dogs in the background when we record all the time, so I'll just turn them up a little bit and turn the volume on the TV down. It'll work out great. Lots of candidates for stock falling. Charles, you want to go first?
My stock falling is going to be the Austin FC season ticket renewal announcement staff.
Damn it,
Yeah, we didn't talk about this enough.
Because I realized we didn't talk about this. So I don't know about y'all, but like I got the email about the season ticket renewal after I had parked to go to walk to the match on Wednesday, and that was kind of when I found out that my season tickets were going up. Not by much, but it's a little more reasonable than last year's debacle. But putting that out right before a match that the team lost in bad fashion just seemed like really bad planning when you would think that somebody there would have known that like the Bukhari signing was getting announced the next day. And it feels like, not doing it right before the match and instead doing it after signing a DP would be a better timing to do that. Not to mention just like, why are you sending an important email at Wednesday night? Nobody does, like, there's a reason nobody does that.
Yeah, I think mine came in at like 6:15, 6:20, something like that.
Same.
So, yeah, that entire thing was weird for a variety of reasons. But like my renewal, I think is like 5.5% increase, so it's still not great. But it's not the 16 or whatever the fuck we had last year.
I think the average last year was 14.
Yeah, and like my season ticket rep came up to like talk to me, and he's like, "Hey man, I wanted to see if you had any thoughts on like the renewal." And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, well, we just sent out renewal emails," and he was just like, "Oh," and I was just like, "I haven't read it yet." He's like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Yeah, man. Well, do you want me to tell you like what the new prices are?" No, I want to watch the fucking game, dude. Like, what the fuck?
I mean,
I don't want to
plan
talk money
like,
with you right now.
I mean, if their plan was to like send the email right before the game, expect people to read it, and then talk to them in the stadium, that's a really stupid plan.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just another confounding front office decision. Not decided, but probably 85% we're going to renew. Charles, are you renewing?
Charles?
Yes, I'm renewing.
Seth?
So like my tickets are subleased out, and I have to talk to my ticket rep because 3 of the people on my tickets want to upgrade seats. So and Chloe has not answered my email yet. But then again, I haven't answered her emails plenty of times, so I'm sure I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. But I'll give her a call next week if I haven't heard back.
Yeah. All right, Brad?
Absolutely the fuck not.
Ooh, spicy. Why?
Same reasons I've said all year. I'm pissed off at the business side of the front office. It's not about what's going on the field. It's about all the changes that have been made, the U.S. Open Cup bullshit, how it was handled this year, how they've completely stopped allowing normal people to go in through the East Gate, which is right by my damn seats, and now it's only Captain Morgan Club people. And so I have to go to a much more long, crazy-ass line and out of my damn way. Like, they've made my experience worse as a season ticket holder. So
yeah,
they're not entitled to my money.
And my seats are right by yours. It annoys the fuck out of me. The dumber part of that is that it's right next to the fucking train stop.
Yeah. Like, I'm a believer that a business should have to earn your money. And I have to do that every day in my job. I have to have people with earn my trust and believe that I'm going to make their business better for them to do work with me. This isn't any different as a consumer for me. I will never stop my season tickets from what's going on the field. Hell, I'm a fucking Colorado Rockies fan, guys. But you can lose me for the way that you handle things that are within your control off the field. And that is why I'm canceling my tickets. It's just the things that are within the Office FC front office's control, the Andy Luck main side of the business and the pre-court side of the business, they've made my experience as a ticket holder worse. So they are no longer entitled to me buying a full season's worth of 2 games of tickets, which normally I only use one anyway and give the other one away. So they're losing that, and they don't deserve it from me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there will be thousands of people on the wait list that theoretically want your tickets marked up at 30% of more than you were paying for them.
Yeah, I mean, sure, somebody's going to buy it. I get it. They don't care. I understand that they don't care, and I understand that somebody's going to jump on my tickets in 2 seconds, and that's perfectly fine. I'll come to fewer games. I'll come to the games that I want to come to. I think the dirty secret that some people have figured out, and maybe others haven't, is even when the team's doing well, it's pretty freaking easy to get into a game at face value or less almost every single night. So why have season tickets at this point?
You get the cool 5-year season ticket holder gift.
Yeah, I certainly don't care about early access to the All-Star game next year. Unless I can. The only thing I really want to see in the first place is giant Plinko. Yeah. So outside of that, I don't care about the All-Star game. And if we make a playoff, cool. I'll just pay slight premium to go to a playoff game, but I'm going to save myself over $1,000 in the course of the season.
Yeah, you'll get that money back on what you saved
easily.
Well, did you guys spot the me-inspired change in the wording of the renewal email?
I did.
The if qualified part to the Open Cup?
No, it's only for Austin FC first team games at Q2 Stadium now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad I could do free legal work for the fucking club. Not that I don't do it enough at my job, but
I will be sending my cancellation email. I haven't had a chance to do it yet. I'll be sending them my cancellation official email as soon as we hang up today.
Yeah,
okay.
No, and I look forward to your season ticket rep listening to this podcast and still calling you and asking to give you an extra week to think about it, because don't you know that they're just going to try to guilt trip you into it, and I'm just going to love your stone cold no, there's nothing you can do to persuade me.
I have told them for 3 months, tell me when I can cancel. Going back to the US Open Cup issue, I have twice now sent an email saying, because last time I got an email from my rep and it was just checking in to see how things are going with this season, how you're enjoying the year. I'm like, everything's fine, just need to know how I can cancel.
I am very interested to hear experiences of people who are on the wait list and how many actually get access to tickets, 1, and 2, how much these season ticket reps are going to attempt to get people to re-sign on versus not, because I don't think that list is nearly as long as people think it is anymore.
Nope.
Yep.
And I don't think that like the sections that are going to open up are necessarily the ones that people are wanting on the list.
Well, and it's not just that. I think people get sticker shock when they actually find out how much it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They think they want season tickets, and then they find out how much it is. Like, oh, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, even like the initial when I got my like little prices, I was just like, oh, that's, it's not a problem. I was going to get them either way, but it was just like, oh, that's a little more than I was expecting. And especially like, before we were ever at a game, if you were part of that initial rush, you were like, oh, okay, whatever. But now if you've gone to like a few games and you're like, okay, well, I got to pay this and I got to pay, $20 for a fucking beer or whatever, then you start adding it up. You can't really park anywhere for free anymore. People are going to do the math and kind of go, well, maybe I don't really want to sign up for all this. I'll just do what Brad's doing and just go to individual games I want to.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of one of the underserved parts of the expense of going to the matches is there is not great public transport. There isn't great free parking nearby. There's not even a lot to do and drink and eat around there anymore.
Nope.
No. I think the thing is, we play 3-4 home games a year on Wednesdays. Wednesday games are super cheap most of the time. You can usually get in for $30 or less. If you're in a SG, getting a supporter section ticket to an individual match is not hard. You don't have to stand in the supporter section if you don't want to. You can walk around and stand somewhere else in the stadium or find an empty seat because there's always empty seats somewhere. And this community is now big enough to where you kind of get to know people, and there's an extra ticket floating around usually. So I think the other thing too is not having the feeling of an obligation to attend 16, 17 games a year is nice. Like, okay, cool. I'll go to 8, 9 a year. That's fine. And I'll go when I want to go. And if it's 100 degrees outside, I'm not sitting out in that bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting because I have obviously I have the Austin FC season tickets still, but as I've told you guys multiple times, I have my Fire season tickets, and my Fire season tickets came with my renewal on Wednesday as well. So I don't know if the other 27 teams, or I guess I have no idea how San Diego FC season ticketing is working for next season yet. But yeah, so that renewal also came yesterday, and not yesterday, on Wednesday, the same day as the Austin FC tickets came in. It came in at a more reasonable hour, but also on a match day. But the 2 tickets I have there remain at $720 combined for the season and include free parking. And at that price, when it is $720 for 2 tickets with a parking pass, that for games like last night where it was raining and seats are not undercover in their sad supporter section, it's like, you know what? I'm just going to stay at home. Or someone wanted the tickets 2 hours beforehand. Here's a free ticket. It's very easy to do that when it's $720 for 2 tickets rather than what? Brad, you were paying close to $2,000 for your 2 season tickets?
It's close to $2,000 total for my tickets.
Yeah, that's a heck of a lot harder of an argument to make. If your tickets were $720 for your 2
I wouldn't
season
cancel.
tickets, yeah,
no. If they were $1,000 total, I wouldn't think about canceling, honestly.
Yeah,
but and I give a ticket away a lot. I give my ticket. Because my extra ticket is ostensibly for my wife, but as most everyone knows, she has serious health issues that precludes her from going to games. A lot of times, and so I usually just give it away to a friend. Occasionally I'll sell the extra on StubHub or whatever SeatGeek and get my cash back basically when somebody can't make it. But I'm usually eating the cost of an extra ticket all year. It's just between that and the amount that the front office has pissed me off from a business standpoint, it's not worth it. Plus, I'd rather use that money, I think, now and go to a road game and spend more time seeing cities I'd have never been to. Like, that's an extra road game a year now for me that I'll go to.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're still spending the money on Austin FC, you're spending it on a more fun experience instead of I fucking trek down there and do this again.
And that's the other thing. Like, I've been to Q2. I love Q2. I love going to home games and seeing everybody, but there's something special about road games for me.
Yep.
Like, I enjoy going to a different city. Yes, you're probably going to lose, but when you win on the road, it's a hell of a lot more fun. And you get different experiences. You make, I think, some of your best friendships when you're on the road. Like, Seth and I are splitting a hotel room later this year in Toronto for 3 nights, and it's going to be a blast, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I meant to cover all of this in a separate segment, but I'm not fucking paying attention at all, so I'm glad Charles bailed us out there. Anything else we want to add on the season ticket stuff?
Nah,
I don't think so. We'll probably come back to that at some point, but
I'll be curious if we get a public announcement on what the renewal rate is.
Oh, they'll bullshit it and say it's 90+% as always, 95, 96.
Yeah, they did also specify that the MLS season pass will be included next year for sure.
But even
they're not
So, a little interesting, because I think that came down to the wire this year. Like, we didn't know until February. For sure.
I mean, I guess, again, the Fire have many, many issues, and actually way more issues than Austin FC, but they communicated that right from the get-go, so I knew we weren't going to lose it.
Yeah.
Because that's a league-wide thing. Just like your mandated Leagues Cup ticket is a league-wide policy. Clubs don't get discretion on that.
So we have Leagues Cup included. Are we assuming that's going to continue next year?
Yeah, Leagues Cup is under a contract for 23 to 25. So Leagues Cup is continuing next year. Open Cup, who the heck knows what that looks like for next year. But the Leagues Cup is continuing. Leagues Cup will not happen in 2026 because the league will do a World Cup break. But even with doing a World Cup break, because remember, we're going to have a 48-team World Cup, Yeah, I don't know how that's all going to work, and especially because we're going to have two MLS teams competing in the Club World Cup next year. Since Columbus lost last night, unless they win MLS Cup, they won't. But somehow, even if Inter Miami doesn't win MLS Cup, they're going to find a way to give the extra U.S. spot to Inter Miami. But we'll see how that works.
Oh, yes, the classic fuck you, that's White Claws.
Yes, and in Seattle will be in it because of winning. I did enjoy last night on Twitter. There were so many Seattle fans doing the 72 Dolphins thing of being like, we're still the only MLS club to win CONCACAF Champions League, which, like, okay, kind of cool, but like, it's still like, that's not going to, like, if MLS continues on this trajectory, we're going to win 3 to 5 of these a decade.
Yeah, who knows?
One of these days, Austin FC will go to a foreign country that's not Canada and not embarrass itself, but I don't know. That day's probably further off than I'd like to admit.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be us. Maybe we'll get our revenge in Haiti or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? All right, Brad. Stock falling.
Everyone?
Everyone is not a bad choice.
I mean, it's kind of hard just to single out anyone specifically on the roster this week, right? Because I don't think anyone shown themselves in much glory.
Seth? I mean, it's kind of hard to top everyone, but
yeah.
try.
I'm going to have to go with Diego Rubio, who I feel like was invisible in these matches. Just like how do you have someone who has shown a lot of promise this season, who probably came pretty close to getting some first half player of the season nominations, and just invisible this week?
Yeah, we played him a little in that kind of more Driussi 10 position when he did come on against Portland, but yeah, he was nowhere to be found for the most part.
Yeah, and like if you're in that position, you should have way more touches on the ball than if you are a 9.
Yep. In theory, at least. My stock falling is Driussi because one of my backup thoughts on stock rising was the notion of Alex Ring as captain. Last night was a fucking debacle, but Ring seemed to conduct himself pretty well. There were multiple times where somebody was yelling at the ref and he shoved him away and just kept captaining. Driussi misses his second penalty, goes off injured, so he's not available. I think leaving him at home is the smart thing to do, so you don't further injure him for the season, but you got to be available. You got to score goals. You got a chance from the spot. You missed 2 in a row. Players hit rough patches, but that's what stock falling is for, is you're on a rough patch. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that one. All right, fun time. Seth, moment of suffering.
Oh gosh, I've already said it earlier on this, but the PK, even though I shouldn't have had any emotions or feelings at 4-0 down yesterday, the switch from the goal, oh my God, we have scored, to having the penalty kick called was one of the biggest whiplashes. And if that had happened in a match that was actually close, it might be in the pantheon, in the Suffering from Joy Hall of Fame, but it still deserves this week's.
I think that would definitely be in the gnashing of teeth and rending of garments, Suffering from Joy Hall of Fame. Had that happen, if that game was 1-1 or something, or not a complete game was over situation.
I was about to say, we probably do need to do that as an off-season podcast of creating that Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we can do that during Leagues Cup.
Yeah.
Brad?
Probably the realization during the game last night that for a minute I thought we were on pace to potentially challenge a certain former president for a biggest loss of the week.
Yeah. I guess he lost 34-0 technically.
Yeah, I thought we were on that pace for a minute, so
Okay, yeah. Pull up a cricket score. Charles, how about you?
I think the moment of suffering was when Driussi went out injured, just because that kind of eliminates all hope of Austin being able to have any kind of chance of getting a result or even scoring. And so just seeing him go down, and they kind of acted like it was a cramp for a second, and then immediately they were like, oh no, this isn't a cramp, this is just bad.
Well, he had been injured like 10 minutes before that too, when the referee like refused to, even when the ball was out of play, like stop and let him get treatment. And it was really fucking weird.
Yeah, I mean, of the many things that referee fucked up that night, like well, probably not in the top 10, but it was definitely one of them.
Yeah, I mean, just everything about that. Like Hector gets hip checked while he's like at the top of his jump, and it's not even a foul, and we end up being down a man for, a Portland player, spraining or breaking his wrist or whatever he did. Just lovely. I'm going to go with Seba getting ready or setting the ball down for the penalty because I was like 85% sure he was going to miss. So you can sort of see when people walk up for penalties if they're feeling confident or, they don't always like trigger exactly like, oh, he doesn't look confident, so he's going to miss or anything like that. But you can usually tell if a guy's going to miss. And Riley leaned over to me and she's like, he doesn't look great. Is he going to miss this? And I was like, probably. She's like, do we have to yell at Landon? Because our seats are right next to Moon Tower Jinx aficionado Landon Cottam. And she's like, do we have to yell at Landon if he misses this? And I was like, well, you can. And so, good listeners, we did your duty. If you want to blame the Moon Tower people for Seba not being able to hit penalties now, he's been heckled. So I got your back there. But yeah, there was no chance in my mind that he was going to hit that. And it's not great, 15 minutes into a game when you're like, fuck, we're already going to be a missed penalty into this. All right, well, we get a couple weeks off. I think we've all earned it too.
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of felt like a bit of a slog through these first few months, not having a break at any point. So it's kind of nice to have. I'm looking forward next weekend to just sitting and watching 360 and not worrying about, oh wait, there is no 360 next week.
Yeah, we got 4 matches next week, but there's a bunch of cool things. So I'm doing a crazy sports week this week. So I'm taking the second half of the week off work. I am going down Tuesday night. I am flying to Raleigh, North Carolina, where I'm going to go to the soccer tournament on Wednesday and Thursday. So I'm going to go see all sorts of things. Friend of the pod, Mike Lahoud, is playing for Borussia Dortmund, of all things. And Mike called me up a couple months ago. He's like, I'm playing for Dortmund. You have to come see me play. And the answer to that is, oh, you're playing for Dortmund. Yes, I'm getting on I check flights. There's a $60 flight from Chicago to Raleigh. Okay, I guess I'm seeing you play. So I'm going to go down, watch, see what that is like, see Pat McAfee play soccer. Ocho Cinco is going to play against J.J. Watt. And like Kun Aguero is running a team. Nani's running a team. Balotelli's playing. So it's just like, it's honestly like Mad Libs. And I want to see Mad Libs in reality.
Nice.
So I'm going to do that Wednesday and Thursday. And then as I mentioned cricket earlier, I have tickets Friday out to see Canada play Ireland at the Cricket World Cup. Is my logic of if a World Cup is happening in the United States of a sport, I usually try to go see it.
Where's that being played?
They built a temporary stadium on Long Island. So they have one of my buddies here is a way bigger cricket fan than I am and set up all the tickets and everything. And they were, expensive, but we're paying like $60 and have pretty good seats. So maybe we'll catch a 6 or something. But so Canada against Ireland on Friday. And then I'm going to go to half of Netherlands and South Africa, which should be a very good game. Then fly back midday on Saturday and then make it back here to Chicago in time to go see the Red Stars play at Wrigley Field on Saturday night, which is what you guys should be watching on Ion rather than the 4 MLS games on Saturday night.
Nice.
They've sold 25,000 plus tickets, and if the weather's nice here in Chicago, I think they'll sell out Wrigley, which would be pretty cool.
That's awesome.
It's very funny going to an NWSL game where the tickets are in the MLB ballpark app, though.
Yes. My next Saturday revolves around watching the Belmont Stakes from Saratoga Racecourse being run at 1.25 miles instead of the traditional 1.5 miles because it's being run at Saratoga Racecourse next Saturday.
So I know that the cricket tournament is taking place 1 mile from Belmont Park, but I didn't realize there were other renovations going on there.
Yeah, so they are completely tearing down. They actually have already done it. Completely tearing down the grandstand of Belmont Park and are rebuilding it from the ground up. They're also adding in a 4th track there. So there's the dirt track and 2 grass tracks currently. They're going to add in what's called tapeta, which is an all-weather surface. So basically, whenever it rains, they typically take races off the turf and put them on the dirt because it's safer. But tapeta acts a little more like turf, so they can save some of those races now, and horses will run more. Are the horses that are turf specialists can tend to run on those. So it'll be about 2 years before it's completely built. And then once that's done, they are tearing down Aqueduct over by JFK, and Aqueduct's going away completely.
Well, isn't Aqueduct becoming a casino too?
It already is. So Aqueduct, there's a casino attached to it. They still run races there, but once Belmont is completely rebuilt, Belmont will be the official quote-unquote home of New York racing, with the exception of the 8 weeks they go to Saratoga in the summer.
Have you been up to Saratoga before?
The first time ever, the Belmont Stakes is being run at Saratoga Racecourse next week.
Brad, have you been to Saratoga before?
I have not, and it is very high on the list of things I'm doing in the next few years.
Yeah, well, let me know whenever you do. I was up there in October. I didn't get to go to a race, but I have some very good friends up in Saratoga who have Airbnb, so I'll take care of it offline.
It's the oldest active sporting venue in the country, for those who may not know.
It's beautiful up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Seth, you're going to have to bring back some cricket souvenirs.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in Barbados in February, I almost did. But I will send this out. We don't really have show notes per se, but I made a pre-order for these awesome USA cricket shirts that say 4 score and have Abraham Lincoln with a cricket bat on them.
Nice. It's a good design.
I'm also going to just assume the NHL final will have a game next Saturday night. So,
Game one is of the Stanley Cup final is. I don't know if it's going to be in Florida, Edmonton, or Dallas yet, but
yeah, they'll stack it. They always do for the finals. But
yeah, because NBA is Thursday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday is what they usually do for the
Saturday, finals. June 8 is game 1. So there you go.
Yeah,
perfect.
But the question is, if the Oilers finish off Game 6 or Game 7. Do I have the horror of rooting for a Florida-based sports team, or do I have the horror of rooting for Canada to win their first Stanley Cup?
Can't root for Canada.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, but a Canadian team that's not Toronto winning the Stanley Cup again would objectively be funny.
True. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
I mean, it just depends on how much you want to shit on Maple Leafs fans, which I assume is a lot.
Well, I mean, it's the whole country.
Yeah. And if you listen to this before the end of the day here on Sunday at 4 or 5 o'clock, come join a bunch of us. We are going down to watch Verdissimo and others wrestle downtown at Empire Control Room. Verdissimo is fighting the Stud Stash tonight. It's going to be a good time.
All right, there you go. We got all sorts of Get Austin FC off your mind options for you today.
Yeah, I'm sorry, he's fighting the what?
Stud Stash.
The Stud Stash. You don't know, Charles?
You don't know Stud Stash? Oh my gosh. I will send you a picture of Stud Stash because he's amazing.
Okay, thank you. That will complete my sports knowledge of Austin culture now.
Yeah, actually just send it and I'll pop it in the main post about the podcast when I drop it.
I'm sending you the link to it right now because it's actually in general. Somebody posted a picture of it.
All right.
That's amazing. Also today, if people need their more soccer fix, the Serie B final is today at 1:30 on Fox Deportes. Venezia is trying to win promotion at their island stadium. And friend of the pod, Ryan Clark, is out in Venice for the match because he got on this deal, which I did not realize that 2 years ago, Venezia had a bond to build their new practice facility. And you get a 7.5% return on the bond. But if they get promoted during any season, your investment goes up to 15%. And the bond included free tickets to any game. So he is redeeming his free ticket at the game for the promotion playoff. And if they win, the bond pays off enough that it pays for his entire trip to Venice.
Excellent.
That's an amazing investment.
Yeah, I'm now mad I didn't do this.
Yeah. All right. And we have, 2 Americans on Venezia?
Yeah, we have Tanner Testman, former Frisco, and Gianluca Busio, who I expect we'll both see them both on our Olympic team this July.
Yeah. So all sorts of non-Austin FC things to take your mind off of it. And hopefully the boys get a nice, some sort of little trip and bonding thing, and they'll come back happier and more winny than they have been lately. So we all need a break. We all deserve a break. On behalf of Charles, Brad, and Seth, thanks for suffering with us. Bye.
Thomas here for Austin Jarrett Stroud. It's Diego for goodness! He has written his name danger, Austin Folklore. They just won't go away. Oh, he hits the upright again. That's impossible.
The Bears' season's going to end on a double doink.
Altidore squares it. Dempsey's missed it. Donovan has it. From hope, there is glory.